Fraser talk to you about our couple of generals that we want to throw your way?
Yes.
Good. So the first one I think is kind of the perfect man to talk about it though. It's the age-old club versus country debate that's been raging, really around Raheem Sterling, I think, and this 2-day recovery period and all the rest of it. But you've seen it from both sides. What do you make of that? Do players need 2 days to recover from the game?
I think it's more to do with the knowledge that you have of your players that you work with day in, day out, and different players have different capacities to recover from the exertion of playing football matches. And I think the key is that knowledge enables you to make decisions based on what they can cope with and whether or not the workload is going to compromise them and put them at risk. And it's all about mitigating the risk. So if a player in your care needs those 2 days rest, then that's what you need to give them, so that they're available for you when you need them on a match day. So it's about knowing the individual and knowing the group that you have. If you have that knowledge, then you use it to your best ability, which means you protect them when you can, but obviously they still need work, they still need quality instruction, but they need to be ready and available for match days, and that's the key to it. So if you've got a player that needs that extra time to recover, then so be it.
I guess with Raheem Sterling and Chambers and Wiltshire and Oxlade-Chamberlain, the issue there for them is that clearly Gareth Southgate would like them to play for the under-21s in the European Championships next summer. They've just been to the World Cup last summer. They'll probably go to the Euros the following summer. As a club manager, would you have concerns about them going to the under-21s Championship because they wouldn't have a summer off?
Well, you do worry as a club manager that players, certainly if they're playing well into mid-June, which more often than not they do, even if there isn't major tournaments, because invariably associations will arrange friendlies right into those days in June. So there is a concern because I think this year obviously we won't have that much of a break, so it'll be even less time to recover, and a long hard season is difficult to get through unscathed, and you do need recovery time. It's a given, but you can see the argument for obviously allowing the best players to go to tournaments, and I think there's a feeling that certainly England haven't given themselves the best chance because the best players available at that age group haven't been available or didn't make themselves available. So I think it needs discussion, it needs people to discuss the merits of it. Probably not now, probably nearer the time, because then you can make a more valued decision on the situation leading into a tournament. At the moment there's a lot of discussion and the rights and wrongs of whether or not the players should be released or should make themselves available, but you probably need to wait until a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks prior to the tournament to see what state the players are in after a long hard season.
Thanks for doing that. The other one, I don't know if you read Roy Keane's autobiography, have you? Yeah?
No.
Surprising. But you'll have seen that he's had a pop at Sir Alex Ferguson, said he wasn't a good man manager, and he's also criticised one of your players, Stephen Ireland, for not making himself available for the Republic of Ireland for so long, since 2007. Do you have a view on either of those? And a former teammate of yours, of course, who's ruffled a few feathers.
Well, yeah, Roy has his motives to do that. He's within his rights. He's very forthright, always has been as a man and as a player. So he obviously felt the need to put certain things straight in his own mind and make people aware of his view, and he's totally at liberty to do that. But I haven't really got a view on it because I haven't read the book, so I don't really know too much about what you're asking me. But I'm sure it's a good read, and I'm sure a lot of people will be buying it for Christmas.
Diplomatically answered, thank you. Let's get up down the team news for us, because I mean, look, Juve, Whelan, Moses, Arnautovic, all of them have been struggling a little bit. Where are we at with them four in particular, Mark?
Victor and Mam should be okay. They've trained for a couple of days and haven't had a reaction today, so we're hopeful that will continue tomorrow, so they'll be available. We've got a big worry over Glenn Whelan, unfortunately. He had to come off in the international, and He's going for scans today just to really get a real understanding of what's going on. He had a big bang on his leg, and he's in a lot of pain at the moment, so we need to get to the bottom of that, so we'll be having scans today.
Whereabouts?
On the outside of the knee, so we'll have to wait until we get an indication about what's going on there. Robert Hughes has got a problem with his calf, which is compromising him at the moment, so he's probably a doubt as well. Apart from that, Marco got a real bang on his hip. There's a lot of bruising around the area, so he's a little bit restricted in his movements, but obviously the more time he has and the more work he does to relieve that, then he should be okay. But apart from that, that's how it is.
How do you approach a game against Swansea then? They're not a great side with themselves. I think no win in the last 4 from them. You're at home where it hasn't been the fortress I know you'd like it to be. But with the games you've got coming up, Swansea.
3 games.
Well, it is early
You won't
days.
want them.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a very fair point. But is this a game you need to be looking to try and win, or is that too simple?
Yeah, we look to win every home game. Obviously, we played really well against Newcastle. I felt this 1-0 win was very welcome. I thought we were better than that on the day. Could have won by a bigger margin. I think that's been the story of our season in terms of the amount of chances that we've been creating in games. Notwithstanding Sunderland, where we had a lot of possession, didn't really create as much as we would have liked, and got done with probably their only strikes on goal, and that's happened a couple of times in home games. Certainly Leicester game and Aston Villa, opposition who didn't really create too many clear good chances, but the ones they did were converted. So that's been a frustration for us. So I think from our point of view, we're looking to be nice and solid. Certainly take the game to Swansea. They're a good team in a certain way. I've done for many years, and that's continuing. Obviously since Gary's become manager. We had a great start to the season. Obviously, had a win in the last few games, so they'll be looking to address that. But we had 2 really good games against them last year. No one came out on top. 2-2 down there, and another draw here. So it'll be close, but I feel given our display in the game against Newcastle last time out here, I think that will help us and gives confidence to hopefully take the game away from them.
2 teams that play football as well. Could be quite an open game, couldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think obviously as the home team, the onus is on us to take the game to them. They have got pace on the break, obviously in wide areas. They can hurt you if you're obviously not conscientious and you defend and you get your numbers right at the back when you're attacking. So they have got threats, so we're mindful of that, but I think it's the onus is on us as the home team to really take the game to Swansea, and hopefully get our noses in front, score early if we can, and then see how the game pans out.
Andy Wilkinson said to us in the international break that he's disappointed. He'd like to play more first team football, understandably. I'm sure you can appreciate that, but he thinks he might have to leave the club to get that. Not nice for you to hear from a manager's perspective, but you can understand his realism. What would you say about his role within the squad and how much you'd value him to stay?
Well, he's got great value to the squad, and I have disappointed him obviously because I'm giving him enough opportunities, or I haven't been able to give him enough opportunity because there's people ahead of him. So I can understand his frustration. I think we've come to a point where I think we're all agreed he probably needs to at least look to get some game time somewhere. That means a loan situation if we can find the right club and it feels right for Andy as well. He's been a great servant here and continues to be a great servant. Always makes himself available, always trains well, and great to have around the place. But I think for his own football career, he needs just to get some games under his belt this year, because the likelihood is that I'm not likely to be able to give him too much game time in the next month or so. So if we can find the right club, I think he could be a good option for a club. You begin a good professional and a guy that will give it.
And finally from me, the next 3 home games, Swansea, West Ham and Burnley. I don't mean any disrespect to any of those teams involved at all. But with you finishing ninth last season, would you look at that as a fairly crucial period at home to try and re-establish that Fortress Britannia and
Well,
try and get some points on the
we
board?
look at every home game obviously we back ourselves to win every home game because obviously our record certainly last year was exceptional at home. So we want that to continue, and we made a start obviously beating Newcastle last time. And we've got a period of games where we're very hopeful of getting points on the board. After those games that you mentioned, we go through a period where we play a number of the teams right at the top of the Premier League, so that will be a difficult period for us, but we showed last year that we're more than capable, and this year in fairness, going to City. We have the capability of taking points off top teams in this league, so we just got to keep on going, do the right things, and get our performance levels at a consistent level, take our chances, and win games. As simple as you say.
Good man, thank you.
Mark, there's been some speculation about Manchester United being interested in Ryan Shawcross. He came up through the ranks there. What are your thoughts on that, a possible bid for them?
Well, I'm not sure where that originated from. I think someone told me it might have come from America at some point, but there's been no contact. Don't expect there to be any. We wouldn't encourage any contact anyway. So Ryan's very settled here. He's captain of the club, and there's no intention of allowing him to leave. He's a big part of what we want to do in the future.
Mark, Peter Crouch's been saying this week about how he hopes to stay on beyond the end of his contract, and that there might be sort of preliminary talks going on at the moment of that sort of nature. How keen are you for him to extend his deal?
Yeah, we spoke briefly. I think Peter is one of those players that he's quite unique in what he offers to us. So you can see the attraction that other clubs have in terms of maybe a desire to bring Peter to their club. So we value Peter. We certainly would like him to stay if we can come to some agreement, because he does give us a different type of threat, and a threat that opposition teams find really difficult to cope. So we're hopeful that there'll be some common ground, and we'll be able to progress. It's still very, very early in the discussion, to be perfectly honest. And obviously Peter's in a quite strong position in terms of he's going into his last year of his contract, but I sense that he's really happy here and enjoys the work that he gets, and he enjoys playing with the players that he has around him, because I think that's helping him to really enjoy his work. So those things will be taken into account, I'm sure, when the decisions are made.
During the international break, there was talks about the cost of watching football these days, and some of your senior players were out in the community helping to engender the spirit of Stoke City. Seeing as you've been a manager for a while now at the football club, are you still surprised at how fervent our support is and our community spirit, and do you need it to continue?
Well, I think since I've come here, it's very evident. I have an understanding of the passion of the area. Obviously, coming here as an opposition manager, so I understood that. But until you actually get here and understand the standing of the club within the community, I think is really important. I think every one of the staff playing and support staff really understand how privileged we are to work for this club, and the standing that we have within the surrounding community. So we're forever trying to get out in the community. The players do some great work. Sometimes it gets reported, sometimes not, but they understand that it's a really important role that they have, and it's an obligation that they take on willingly, because it's so important to the surrounding.
Mark, Christmas is coming.